Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I put it in my thing. It fits in here. Krishna Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya, Vitale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Nityanamine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shanyavari Pasatari Shatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gauravaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gauravaktavinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Slowly, slowly. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nityaga Niva, Hariva, Hariva, Nityaga Niva. Nitai Gaura Premanande, Srila Prabhupada King, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda King, Gaura Premanande. So passionate. running. Can somebody free me from the harmonium? Okay. Actually, this is quite good like that. Just as a touch crumbly here.
Yeah. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Devaki, Devi Dasi. She's a disciple of His Holiness Niranjana Maharaj. She joined the Brahmacharini ashram in Sydney, Australia in 1985. As a Grihasta, she preached in the former Soviet Union and since 1999 serves as a renounced traveling preacher, regularly visiting India, Bangladesh, Eastern and Western Europe, the US, Australia, and New Zealand. She served on the GBC Committee for Devotee Care and currently promotes such care as a top priority within the ISKCON family. Her multifaceted approach, understanding of Vaishnava culture inspired her to establish the Institute for Spiritual Care in 2014, offering insightful education in Vaishnava life. She has published 4 books and conducts holy name retreats around the world. Please everybody give a warm Hari Bol for Devaki Devi Dasi. Thank you so much for coming to visit us and share us all your wisdom here at RVC. Hari Bol.
Well, thank you for allowing me to visit. I'm looking forward to spend some time in your association and try to serve you. This guy has his own life here. Somebody can adjust this somehow that it stays like that. Oh, that's the trick. Okay, good. Thank you. Yes, so once again, thank you for allowing me to visit. And I'm looking forward to spend the next few days in your association and try to serve you to my best capacity. Om Agyantamandasya Yananjala Salakaya Chakshun Militam Dina Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manupistam Stapitam Yanabhuttale Swayam Rupakaramayam Nanati Svavadantikam Namam Vishnubhara Kashabisa Vuttale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nirvishesha Shanivari Pasatari Shatarini Vanchakapati Vasa Kipasani Vevata Padittanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Go Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. To begin with, I want to ask for Maharaj's blessings, that I can say something of some little inspiration to all of you. Hare Krishna. So our topic tonight is respect, the foundation to intimacy in bhakti. So this topic of respect is one of my big concerns, actually, because in Kali Yuga, the respect within society decreases rapidly. This is a really big topic, actually. And interestingly, a culture of sense gratification is based on disrespect. Because sense gratification means we use others for our enjoyment. And we will only do this when we have disrespect towards others, right? If we actually have respect towards others around us, we will not want to use them for our gratification, subtle, gross, whatever way it may be. Even towards nature, towards Krishna's creation, Mother Earth. I think we're all pretty well aware of this, that we have really exploited them for our sense gratification, right? And I think we have come to the point where we already spoiled the whole globe, basically, you know? It's hardly even you can't even adjust it anymore, actually. You know, so this shows the sign of disrespect. So it's interesting. Spiritual culture has to be based on respect. And this culture of sense gratification will always go together with disrespect. Good to be clear on that. In regards to respect, we can say that humility is a primary quality which manifests in secondary qualities, like respect, or like tolerance, like forgiveness, like patience. We can all see them as secondary qualities from that primary quality of humility, right? A humble person will always be respectful. A humble person will be tolerant. A humble person will be forgiving. A humble person will be patient, right? But a proud person will not be respectful, will not be tolerant, will not be patient, will not be forgiving. So yeah, we can say humility is the primary quality which manifests in so many secondary qualities. And one of them we can see as respect. So, and of course, we all know Mahaprabhu's instruction, Trinada Pisunichina, and then Amana Dena, Chaitanya Sadhari. You know, so actually, Mahaprabhu tells us we should be respectful to one and all. And we should never demand respect. And we can say that the Vaishnava etiquette is all molded around that goal of becoming Trinada Pisunichina, right? Yes. If we were spontaneously already there, that we would be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. If we would be spontaneously already there, then no need for this Vaishnava etiquette and culture and all that. But as a rule, we are far away from that. So that's why we need this version of etiquette and culture, you know. And actually, in my brief little introduction, maybe you missed it, or maybe you heard it, but actually for over 20 years, I've been very much involved in preaching in Bangladesh. And that's where I learned all these things. Because Bangladesh is a very special place, actually. It's East Bengal, and it's the place where most of Mahaprabhu's associates come from, like even Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, even Mahaprabhu's parents, Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, even Advaita Acharya, Srivas Thakur, Mukunda Datta, Vasudev Datta, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Ah, so many. Madhavendra Puri. So many great souls come from that part of Bengal. And interestingly, because it is a Muslim country, this really preserves our Vaishnav culture, amazingly enough, because the Muslims are not so fond of all these Kali Yuga, modern Kali Yuga ideas. And that keeps the whole place so traditional. Yes, very amazing. So when you travel there, it's almost like you enter Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's like, compared to India, it's like a different planet. It really is. So especially for brahmacharis, it's a paradise. So you should all come and visit us there. Yes, it's brahmachari loka. There's hundreds of brahmacharis in Bangladesh. Just Dhaka temple, Dhaka is the capital city. It's got 150 brahmacharis and bhaktas. That's just one temple. There's so many more. Yes, it's quite amazing. There's a whole, different world, whole nectar flowing there, which even within ISKCON, not many people realize. Yes, everybody thinks, oh, this is a Muslim country. Oh, there's some disturbances there. All right, some disturbances I think we have everywhere in the world. You look at Ukraine. I've been preaching there for 20 years. And it's a whole, terrible situation there. So in any case, so Bangladesh, that's where I learned all these things about Vaishnav culture. And this inspired me to establish this Institute for Spiritual Culture. Because I realized not everybody can spend so much time in Bangladesh and learn all these things. And because my whole worldview got transformed and put upside down there in Bangladesh. And that's why I put all different courses together to teach basically how we are meant to live our philosophy, right? So to learn our philosophy, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava course, this is actually only step number 1 in spiritual education. That we learn the philosophy, we quote it, we recite it, and we learn it by heart, the verses. That's a good start. But then the real challenge comes, how do we live it? How do we apply it? Especially in the Western world. The more west we go, the more it is a challenge, because materialistic culture propagates exactly the opposite. Yes, let's be clear on that. In Bhagavad Gita, we have verse 269. What is day to the common person is night to the introspective sage. Right? So in other words, material life, spiritual life, they are as different as day is from night. So that, brings us to a principle of what is success in material life may very well be a stumbling block, a hindrance in spiritual life. And what is success in spiritual life, the perverted reflection, is the lowest for a materialist. That's how opposite the two worldviews and lives and cultures and goals in life are, Yes. Just as a little introduction. Yeah, so interesting. Let's go back to Aman and Amanadena. Mahaprabhu's statement in the Shikshastikam that we should give respect to one and all and not demand respect for ourselves. Usually in material life, we do the opposite, right? We demand respect for ourselves, but we don't give respect to anybody. Yes. So interestingly, it means we should respect everyone, not only devotees and not only perfectly exemplary devotees, but actually every living entity. Because self-realized soul sees Paramatma in every living entity's heart. That already is a reason to respect every living entity, because Paramatma is there. And also every living entity is dear to Krishna. And especially anybody who tries to chant Hare Krishna is especially dear to Krishna and to Prabhupada and to Guru. So who are we to disrespect? Right? Yes. Yes. So very often we come across this, that devotees say, I can't respect this person. He's got so many faults, so many shortcomings. How can I respect him? Right? Don't we feel like that very often? Yeah, I think we do. So, and I was wondering, what is behind this mentality? Why can we only, or why do we think we can only respect a person when they are perfect, when they're exemplary? And I started analyzing. I'm that kind of person. I always like to get to the root of things. So I started analyzing and I realized actually behind this is envy, which is our topic for the Sunday feast, I believe. So because we are envious, and Prabhupada says in one word for word translation, he says kalaha, meaning the envious, and then he puts in brackets almost everyone. So that already makes the point, almost everyone. So that obviously includes ourselves also. Yeah, so almost everyone is envious. So when we see somebody who has some shortcomings, then we compare, we evaluate. And because we are envious, we try to put that person down. And we think ourselves to be superior. And therefore we say, I can't respect this person. Right? Yeah, that's actually what's behind it. It's all pretty subtle, all these things centered around subtle aspects of consciousness. They're often so subtle that we miss them. We don't even identify them. Right? Yes. So a culture of respect is like the foundation to spiritual life. Not only to intimacy in bhakti, but actually to spiritual life. Respect has to be the foundation, because after all, spiritual knowledge is passed down. It is descending. It is not ascending, right? It is descending. It is passed down from seniors to juniors, from Guru, ultimately from Krishna through the parampara. It is passed down. So unless there is respect as foundation there, we cannot receive, all that knowledge, wisdom. So the respect has to be there from both sides. The seniors have to have respect to the juniors. Otherwise, why would they sacrifice their time and energy if there was not respect there? Right? Even as a preacher, if you don't respect each and every person in your audience, well, why bother? Sitting here and talking and sharing and all this. No, we are meant to see every person that comes to the temple as specially invited guest of Sri Sri Gurunatai, of Prabhupada. That's the vision we should have. Oh, some invited guest comes, invited by Prabhupada, invited by the Lord. So there has to be respect there. We have to receive them nicely, and we have to do our very best to uplift them. So respect has to be the basis from senior to junior, as well as from junior to senior. Right? If there's no respect from junior to senior, then we will not humbly inquire. We will not offer humble service, because that's how we are meant to serve and associate with a senior, with a person who has more experience than we have. Right? How we are meant to associate with them? What's the Sanskrit? Tadvidi pranipatina pariprasnena sevaya. So this is not only in regards to Guru. Pariprasnena is pariprashna, is the humble inquiry. Prashna is the question. Sevaya is the service. So that's how we associate with anybody who is more experienced than we are. That we are meant to humbly serve, and we are meant to humbly inquire, to squeeze some nectar out of that person. Right? And interestingly, these two elements of serving and inquiring, they actually enhance each other. The more we serve, the more we are eager to inquire. And the more we inquire, the more we get inspired to serve. Like that, they enhance each other. And that exchange will only take place when there's respect. Giving shelter, accepting shelter. That can only take place if there's respect from both sides. Very important. Yes. As I mentioned, material life is based on disrespect. Sense gratification is based on disrespect. And we can very clearly see how it is related to the standard of life. The higher the standard of life is, the more sense gratification becomes the goal of my life, and the more spiritual culture is pushed aside, and the more disrespect sets in. That's how it's connected. In Europe, I can very nicely see, in Eastern Europe, like Poland, Ukraine, even before the war, was a very simple life. People are quite poor in these parts of the world. What to speak of now, of course. Even Russia, or even Serbia, Bosnia, or these countries. I don't know if you're so familiar with them, but I'm traveling around in all these places. So there, the standard of life is quite low. People are poor, people live simple. And you can really see, proportionally, there's much more respect within society. People have more respect towards each other. Whereas when you go more west, Germany, the already lifestyle goes up, respect goes down. Then if we go a little more west, America, probably the lifestyle is even higher. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it higher than Germany? Yeah, probably. Probably it is higher, I think. Not sure. I haven't, looked at any statistics. But yeah, the more we go west, the more the respect goes down. And even from Europe, if you go more east, you come to all the more Asian countries, China and India, whatever there is, Indonesia, Philippines, so many countries there. So you can find, as a rule, more respect in those countries, You can even see it in the language. Like, for example, German language has two ways of addressing a person. The more formal way, the Sie, and the more closer, confidential way, if you want, the Du. So they use the two forms, And like 60 years ago in my childhood, the etiquette was that anybody above 16, you would address with a more respectful and formal way. And only really family members or really close friends you address with an informal way. That's how it was 60 years ago. But now, the formal way is almost eliminated from the language. People don't use it anymore. Even if they don't know each other, they may, when they meet the first time, they may use it for the first 2-3 minutes, and then they just switch into the informal one. And they think they create intimacy. But actually, behind it is that they create overfamiliarity. Yes. When there is a loss of respect there, then very easily overfamiliarity sneaks in. This is quite interesting, So overfamiliarity means we take each other lightly and cheaply, and in subtle ways we use each other for our own gratification. Yeah, in subtle ways we use each other, maybe to show off or whatever, So it is often rather subtle. But this is the modern tendency, that we think respect to be too formal and too, impersonal, maybe even, or too formal, impersonal. But no, this is a misunderstanding. True intimacy has to be based on respect. And there is a little comment in one of Prabhupada's purports, which I want to read to you from my little verse book here, where I have collected over many years so much nectar. So this is in 3rd Canto, 23rd chapter, verse 2. In the purport, Prabhupada says, these are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambena means with intimacy, and Gauravena means with great reverence. So yes, interestingly here it says, serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we won't get into that topic now of husband and wife and all that kind of thing. But no, let us extricate that principle that in any relationship where we serve or where we associate very intimately, personally, there has to be this reverence, this respect there. So intimacy, to serve with intimacy, should go together with awe and reverence and respect, actually. Makes sense? Does it? Yes. Yeah. And if this is not there, when this respect is not there in any intimate relationship, that's when this overfamiliarity sneaks in. Definitely in married life, right? Anybody who is married here knows this maybe, that husband, wife, they know each other so closely, they know each other's weaknesses, also through physical intimacy. There's even more easily that loss of respect there. And then very easily this overfamiliarity enters, and that spoils everything. It ruins a relationship completely. Also, in the guru-disciple relationship, this is also the danger, that when we come too close to Guru, then very easily we lose respect. And this overfamiliarity can sneak in. And we start seeing Guru as an ordinary person. And we start fault finding, oh, why is he doing like this? Or shouldn't he be doing like that? These things very easily enter, Yes. Actually, I think it was in Shrutakirti Prabhu's book about Prabhupada. Or where did I read it? Or maybe Kurma Prabhu's book about Prabhupada in Australia. There was this situation where Prabhupada was on the morning walk, and the devotees were all walking around him, and Prabhupada was walking pretty fast. And then sometimes he would stop all of a sudden. And then sometimes devotees would almost bump into him, And then Prabhupada would turn around and say, don't come too close. And whoever was telling the story, either Kurma Prabhu or Shrutakirti Prabhu, they kind of understood it in two ways, don't come too close physically and bump into Prabhupada, but also don't come too close and become over-familiar. You know? Yes. Yes. So this over-familiarity is such a danger. And yet today, people think that to be true intimacy. And they throw out the respect. They throw out the respect out the window. And instead, they create over-familiarity. And they think that to be true intimacy. Yes, basically, people don't want to pay the price for true intimacy, which is respect. Yes. Yes. You know, so often we've come across this, that people, yeah, I mean, it manifests in many different ways, you know, that there's disrespect. For example, when we speak about a Maharaj, we sometimes drop the title, you know, we just say, oh, Kadambakana is coming, instead of Kadambakanana Swami, you know, this dropping the title. This is disrespectful. Yes, shouldn't be done. Often people do that in regards to their guru, just talking about him with the name. This is terrible, actually. But why do we do this? Because we just kind of want to, in subtle ways, we may want to show off how close and chummy we are with that person, buddies, you know? Inappropriate. Even when we write a letter to our guru, you know, we don't, or to any Maharaj, the etiquette is we should not mention his name, but we just write, Dear Maharaj, or if it is our guru, Dear Guru Maharaj, or Dear Guru Dev, but not the name. This is over-familiar. Yes. I learned all these things in Bangladesh, you know. Yes. That people would never address each other just by name. Even the brahmacharis, you know, they always say Prabhu, such and such Prabhu, not just the name. And especially between the genders, you know, a man would not call a woman just by name, actually. Of course, how to call a woman can also be a controversial topic. Not sure if I should get into this here, but I guess we are here in the Rupanuga Vedic College, right? I'm not sure whether this gives me the authority to speak about the Vaishnava etiquette. Does it? Yes. Yeah, I noticed this morning that you are pretty, you're trying to follow the Vaishnava culture here, right? Am I right? Yes, I could perceive this in the morning program. And yes, I feel very comfortable in such a setting, you know. Others may not, you know, especially other women. They may not feel comfortable in the setting. Oh, the men are always there. And, oh, what about us women here? You know? But no, that's all according to the etiquette, you know. Yeah. But anyway, let me refer to Bangladesh just in case this gets broadcasted and other people from other parts of the US were watching this. So in Bangladesh or in India, You know, a man would always address a woman as Mataji, mother. Very affectionate. Yes, very affectionate, actually. You know. Actually, once one brahmachari said a quite amazing thing to me in Bangladesh. He said, our Guru Maharaj is our father, and you are our mother. And mother, more important. I was speechless. What? Mother, more important than Guru Maharaj? How is that? So I asked him, how is that? And he put his hand on his heart and said, yes, mother, more affection. Quite thought-provoking. Mother, more affection than Guru Maharaj. Just see, you know, yes. If we women serve as mothers, we can even become more prominent in people's lives than Guru Maharaj. Yes, not that we are competing or anything, but it's actually very similar to a family, you know. The husband, the father, he's the official head of the family. But let's be honest, who runs the show? It's the mother, right? Yes, through her cooking and, you know, serving selflessly everybody and harmonizing, balancing the energies there. She runs the show. So, and like that, it's also on the level of a community, being the family, you know. They also, the men are the official heads, but we women, through our energy, we run the show indirectly. Yes. By the way, what's my timeline here? When do we finish? Because I can talk for hours, so you have to tell me when to stop. Huh? What? 8:20. Okay, oh, well, that gives us quite a bit of time. Okay, I was already thinking maybe 8 o'clock or something. All right, 8:20, good. Yeah, so, you know, our respect, that's, as I said, that's why we have all these different aspects of Vaishnava etiquette and culture to teach us humility and respect. Respecting everyone and all, and not demanding respect for ourselves, you know? And there's so many different little etiquette rules, you know, like, for example, let's imagine we are sitting in a room and a very senior person enters. A very senior person. What's the etiquette? We stand up. Actually, in my childhood at school, we were taught like that. When the teacher entered, we were standing up. Right? Do they still do that here in America? Definitely not. The pupils probably have the feet on their school desk when the teacher enters, right? Yeah, but that's how it used to be. You stand up out of respect, right? Yes. And actually, amongst devotees, strictly speaking, we should also do this, especially when our guru or sannyasi enters, you know, one should rise from the seat, Hare Krishna. Or when if it's a sannyasi, then we should also pay obeisances when we see him the first time, you know. So all these little rules of etiquette, they're meant to teach us, you know, to become humble and respectful, you know. Actually, like in Germany, there's one there's one farm, Simhachalam, where Lord Nrsimhadev is. And one of the leaders there, he's second generation, he grew up in Krishna consciousness. And he always practices that. When he sits in the office and when I walk in, he gets up from his seat. Hi, Krishna Mataji, how can I help you? You know? And it actually creates a nice and sweet atmosphere, you know? That's the whole point. This respect sets the foundation for sweet Vaishnava exchanges, right? Yes, because then also the senior person can pass down something if the junior person receives a senior with such a respectful mood, you know, then the senior person can be affectionate and give some upliftment or something, you know. Yes. Whereas if there's disrespect, senior person cannot give anything, you know. And this is a little bit of a risk, actually, for Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. That in Kali Yuga, this respect decreases rapidly. And very often we come across this also in our communities, that the young generation, you know, does not really respect the seniors, because that's the dealings in the outside society, that old people are pushed aside. They're disturbing the young people in their pursuits of sense gratification, right? They're seen a burden. So they're pushed aside, off into the old folks' home, hidden somewhere in the forest, so that we can enjoy. That's the mood, you know. So, and very easily, this also enters our society, that we think, these old people, they're just a burden. So just get out of the way. Now it's my turn. You know, now I'm bringing in the ideas. And of course, I mean, the young generation should move things forward, definitely, because every generation has their contribution to make. But nevertheless, the seniors should always be, you know, treated respectfully, and they should guide the juniors. They should pass down their wisdom, their life experience, their realizations, the standards, the values, the transcendental knowledge. You know, they have to pass that down. But they can only pass it down when there's respect. So, but very often we come across this, that this respect is lacking. So, and then very easily the young generation can bring in all kinds of Kali Yuga ideas, you know, which may water down the whole process of Krishna consciousness. And because of this lack of respect, the seniors can't do anything. They can't correct, because the young generation will not respect anyway, right? And I have even received, you know, letters, emails from Prabhupada disciples here in America who were voicing this problem, that they see, you know, that things don't go right, and the young generation waters things down and brings in all kinds of, you know, different standards and unwanted forms of etiquettes and behaviors and all this. But because of lack of respect, the seniors can't do anything. They can't correct, because they will not follow it anyway. They're not open to hear, you know. And then often the seniors may even get afraid Or how can we say anything? Otherwise they will feel discouraged from practicing Krishna consciousness. Right? It's a big problem. It's a big problem, you know? And the root cause of the problem is lack of respect. If there's respect there, then the seniors can correct. Then they can say, hey, you know, we shouldn't do like this. We have to do like that. That's what Prabhupada wanted, right? But if there's no respect there, yeah, then they can't do anything. Or they may be too afraid. Oh, if I say something, then they will not want to come to the temple anymore or whatever, you know. Yes, and like that, very easily, the whole process of bhakti can become watered down completely. Yes, and anybody who's been around for 30 or more years can maybe observe this, that it is happening a fair bit, this whole, you know, tendency to water things down, you know. Because Kali Yuga, everything, the natural trend is downhill, right? It's never up, the natural trend. Natural trend is downhill. So that means, you know, we have to really swim against this tendency to uphold the purity of the process of bhakti. And it's a thankless task to swim against the current of Kali Yuga, you know, because somebody will not like it. Somebody will criticize, right? Yeah, it's a thankless task, but somebody has to do it, you know, yes. That's actually the duty of the Brahmanas. A true Brahmana, you know, he shouldn't worry what people think of him. He just says what needs to be said to uphold the standards and the values and give the knowledge and keep it pure. That's the duty of the Brahmanas. So it doesn't matter how unpopular he may become, he will say it anyway. Of course, we try and bring things in a palatable way so people may accept it. But nevertheless, you know, the message has to be kept intact, you know. Yes. Yes. Let me see. I've got so many little things here. Yes. Oh, yeah, one other nice little thing in regard to respect, what I learned in Bangladesh. As we said, respect should not only be there towards all living entities, but even towards objects. Yes. You know, with spiritual vision, we should see everything as Krishna's energy, right? And it should be respected in that way. So like, for example, to touch anything with your foot, which should not naturally be touched with our feet, like the floor or the shoes or, you know, the real basic things, what we usually touch with our feet. So anything else, if we touch it with our foot, this is disrespectful. Definitely to touch musical instruments with our feet is very disrespectful. Oh my God. You know, sometimes we see this when we sit on the floor and we play harmonium, that we may touch the harmonium with our foot. this is really gross and uncultured and terrible, actually. Because all the musical instruments, they're an expansion of Balaram, right? So to touch them with your feet, this is terrible. Or Madanga players, when you have the Madanga on your lap, then very easily it may touch your foot, or the foot may touch the Madanga. This is a no-no. Yes. In Bangladesh, I've watched how they play Madanga. The best Madanga players you find in Bangladesh. The best Madangas come from Bangladesh. They're bigger and have a more full sound and so on, By the way, I cannot play Madanga. Yeah, but I've seen how they play Madanga, They have one leg a little stretched out, and then the Madanga rests on the calf, but definitely does not touch the foot. So once I remember in Bangladesh, I had a meeting with some managers because I was quite involved there in so many things. And I was sitting down and I was moving my computer bag aside with my foot. And people gave me this stern looks, these shocked looks, and I immediately understood that I was not meant to do this, to move my computer bag aside with my foot. This was really inappropriate, And if you really look at it in a more subtle way, then you can detect there is a subtle arrogance there, to just move something with your foot out of the way. No, if you're respectful, you bend down and you move it with your hands and not just with your foot, So there, I have seen how when some of the devotees touch their computer bag with their foot, they apologize to the computer bag. Yes, that's what it means. Respect towards, items, towards different things, When you touch them with your feet, and you should not touch them with your feet, you apologize, Yes. Those devotees here in Indian bodies, I'm sure you know that culture, right? Yes. Yes, but we Western people, we are so, uncultured in many ways. We don't know these things, Yes. Yes, and of course, when you touch a person with your foot, you apologize, Or if you bump him somehow or whatever, or if you touch Tulsi Devi in a rough way. And yes, we have to be very conscious of our behavior and so on, Yes. Yes. Yeah, even children, in Bangladesh, they have great respect towards children also, like even in Kirtan, when the Kirtan gets a little wild and the boys are running over some kid there or something, they apologize to this little Vaishnava, sorry, and so yeah, they have that vision, it's just a question of time until this little Vaishnava becomes a big Vaishnava. It's just a question of time. So they give almost equal respect, a little adjusted to the, stage of childhood, but still that respect is there, And the brahmacharis, they address young boys as Prabhu. because they see the young boys as future brahmachari, you know, and they make friends with them, and, you know, they interact with the young boys. Oh, how are you? What's your name? And, you know, and they connect with the young boys in a very friendly way because they see them as future brahmacharis. And they call them Prabhu. And of course, you know, young boy being called Prabhu, that boosts him, you know. Oh, I'm already Prabhu, you know. And then like that, the brahmacharis become role models. They become the heroes for the kids, you know. Yes. So, and then naturally, they also want to become like that. And they also want to become a brahmachari, you know. Yes. But at the same time, there's very strict rules of Vaishnava etiquette towards children. That, for example, the only bona fide touch outside of family relationships, by the way, you know, not including family relationships, but outside of family relationships, the only bona fide touch between grown-ups and children is head on the head, hand on the head, blessings. That's the only bona fide touch, to give blessings. Gently rub the head, not more than that. That's respect, you know, because all these fondling and, ooh, are you cute, and all this kind of stuff, kids actually hate it because they can feel that the grown-ups are, you know, satisfying their own emotional needs there by, you know, playing around with them and all this. And they don't like it, you know, because actually it's disrespectful, you know. You wouldn't do that with a grown-up person, or if you would, you know, well, it is really over for Maria. Yeah, so we often see this in the Western world, that people in a very casual way deal with children, you know, but actually it is not really according to the Vaishnava dealings. There has to be respect there. And of course, that protects the children also against child abuse or any kind of inappropriate dealings. You know, so all these things like slamming on the backside there, or pinching them in the backside, or whatever people do as jokes, this is off, inappropriate, you know. Yes, yes. That's so very important to be clear in this, you know. Yes. Yes, sometimes because we are not trained in these things, and we think that respect is formality and impersonal and all this, you know, then we easily get mixed up, you know. And sometimes I see this, that, you know, that maybe also brahmacharis are very physically interacting with children, sometimes even girls, you know, that the girls are hanging on their legs and arms and goofing around there or something. But this is completely inappropriate, you know? Yes. And yeah, it can easily lead to other unwanted scenarios, you know? And again, it's a question of respect, you know, from both sides. The kids have to have respect to the grown-ups and know how to behave, you know? And also the grown-ups have to respect the child and set the boundaries. You know, it's up to the senior to set the boundaries within a relationship, you know. So, and the senior has to know that respect is the foundation to intimacy, to true affection, without taking advantage and gratifying one's own needs and desires there, you know. Yes. I mean, another interesting thing which may not be so relevant for the temple devotees, but still good to know, how respect has to be taught at very young age to the children. This is another thing which is not done in the Western world, you know? And I have seen this in Bangladesh, how parents, when the child is only 1 or 1.5 or 2, already then the parents teach the child respect. When senior devotee comes, Dandavat, head on the ground, touch the feet, you know, they teach that at the youngest age. Yes. And of course, the parents also have to set the example, you know? Yes. But if we miss that, you know, once the children are teenagers, well, then we can't come and try and teach them respect. Then we miss the boat type thing, you know? Has to be taught at youngest age, you know, that the child learns how to be respectful towards elders and so on, you know, especially also at the temple and all this, you know. Yes. Oh, time is going, see. Yeah, maybe let's leave it at that and see if we have any questions or comments. Okay, there's already a few hands going up. We'll start with you, Prabhu. Do we have a mic? Yes. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you. It seems that Western society has slipped as far as respect, because when I was in school, elementary school, we stood and we did the Pledge of Allegiance. We had our hands on our hearts, and that was taught, and it was a form of respect for your country, for nationalism. They don't do that anymore. Kids aren't really taught to be respectful. It seems to be getting worse. Like you said, it's declining as time goes in Kali Yuga. Another thing that I've noticed is that people who don't know where they come from are more disrespectful to others, because they have...
Well, what do you mean, don't know where they come from?
Well, they don't know that Krishna is...
Oh, like that.
Is where they come from, so they have no one to answer to. And so they don't really have any respect for other people, because they think they can get away with that. So I think if people weren't in that amnesia of where they've come from, you know, the spiritual plane,
Yes,
that they would be more respectful.
yes. Yeah, that's definitely a fact, that it is connected to God consciousness, you know? Even if they don't know Krishna, even if they're good Christians, then usually they have more respect, simply because they see God as the center, you know? And that automatically brings more respect in. Like even in schools, you know, Christian schools, they often teach more respect than we do in our schools. Shamefully, we have to admit. Yes, I know some devotees who took their school off a devotee their kids off the devotee school and rather put it them in the Christian school, because they found there's more respect taught. Yes. Yeah, definitely it's like that. It is connected with God consciousness. Yes. What else?
So you were speaking about how the seniors have a responsibility to set boundaries with the juniors. So, but being a new brahmachari, like how do we set boundaries?
How do we set boundaries?
Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned it in connection with the kids, but not only, it is a general principle. So in connection with the kids, you just tell them if it goes too far and, hey, no, not like that. Sorry, I don't want to have you sit on my lap here. You sit there and I sit here and we talk like that or whatever, So, yeah, where was it? I was somewhere. I can't even remember where it was. But there was a young girl that tried to sit on the lap of one of the Maharajas. And he all, he was all, Yeah, I mean, the children have to be taught, It was in some program, I can't even remember where it was. And I was holding my breath, but he got out of it and didn't allow it to happen. But yeah, I mean, my God, the children have to be trained in this. And for that, the grown-ups have to set the borders, So that's in regards to children. But it's also not only in regards to children, but in other dealings too. Well, it's a very subtle thing. And basically, we set the mood as a senior mainly through our dealings of not being ourselves over familiar, right? If we deal in a respectful way with people, then that sets the mood. But if we, go overboard and we are over familiar and, too much, inappropriate talks or joking or whatever. So then the juniors, they will join in. Oh, that sounds like fun, right? I can really have a good time with this senior person here, right? And then they go all overboard. So as a senior, it is a subtle thing of trying to keep the exchanges pure without allowing any kind of subtle sense gratification to sneak in, right? So, and if we keep the dealings pure, then the other people, then they can feel that vibration and they also keep it in that line. Or if they maybe become then too over-familiar or something, well, then we react in a more, firm and formal way, and we don't take part in their dealings. And if they're a bit perceptive, they can feel it, So it's a rather subtle thing. But yeah, it has to be done from the seniors. See, and this is another misconception in these modern days. even with dealing with children, that often people think I can influence that young person better if I put myself on their equal level, right? Often people think this. And they think, that it is not nice or not right to accept the superior position. Sometimes even parents have this mood, this new agey, trendy mood of that the children don't call the parents mommy and daddy or whatever they say, but just by first name. Right? You have come across this? This is inappropriate, because in order to pass down something, in order to teach something, you have to be in the superior position. That's the way it is. Knowledge flows down from higher to lower, like water flows from higher to lower. So knowledge flows like that too. So if we think we can influence people better if we put ourselves on the equal level, or no, I don't want to be superior, I'm equal, this is misconception. We have to accept the superior position, but we don't enjoy that. We don't exploit it. No, we serve from senior position. Yes. But materialistically minded people don't understand that you serve from any position, from senior, from equal, from junior. You're always serving. So that concept is unknown to them. So that's why people object. No, I cannot be superior. We are all equal. Amongst some people, this is already a controversial way of talking. Senior, junior, superior, inferior, right? Oh no, how can you say, a person is superior? No, it's almost like a dirty word, But no, from a spiritual point of view, there's always superior and inferior, senior, junior. But with a spiritual point of view, we don't use or misuse that superior position, because we serve, we uplift. So if you have that attitude and understanding, there's nothing wrong with being superior or even inferior. There's nothing wrong, because, the superior is only uplifting you. That's his only interest. So what's the problem in being the subordinate? It only becomes a problem if you're abused or suppressed. Then it becomes a problem. Then nobody wants to be subordinate. But if you're uplifted and cared and protected, what's the problem to be subordinate? No problem. Yes, it's such a different way of looking at things when we look with mundane eyes and when we look with a spiritual vision, like day and night, Yes. Anyway, did it make it a little clear? Yes. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Would Her Grace like to speak on how, because it seems like in the age of Kali, people are being actually educated that that what in Vaishnava etiquette we view as respect is actually disrespectful. For instance, in a relationship, like, if my significant other doesn't touch my backside or play with me in all weird ways, then they actually think I'm ugly, and so they're disrespecting me in that way. Because I've seen that
Hang on, I didn't get that. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so like in the age of Kali, people are being educated that what is actually respectful is considered disrespect. So like in a relationship, if my significant other doesn't use and abuse my body, then oh, they think I'm ugly. And so they're disrespecting me by not playing with my backside or not doing these weird things to my body all the time. You know, so my question is how we approach people who are educated in that way or not educated in the proper way, you know. So they think that when I'm respecting them in terms of Vaishnav etiquette, they're actually feeling some disrespect. Why don't you touch me like that? You think I'm ugly or something like that, you know? Thank you.
Well, I guess education is where it's at. You know, we have to educate people. We have to give spiritual education. What is what? So that's what we're trying to do, you know? And that's why it's important to discuss all these different aspects of Vaishnava etiquette and culture and how we are meant to practically live our philosophy and not just repeat it. So education is where it's at. That's why I've got my little institute for spiritual culture. I put all these courses together. I put them all in book form now to educate whatever little I can do, you know. Yes. One last question, since it's 8:30 already.
Hare Krishna. So in relation to this relationship between senior and junior, I was thinking about, you know, communities in general. And how do we deal with conflict amongst devotees when, you know, those boundaries are not set by the senior properly? I could see that within my family, at least, you know, where sometimes boundaries were not set and there was conflict or there was difficulty in our relationship or strain. So how do we deal with that amongst our communities, like with our seniors in our communities?
Can you be a little more specific? This is very vague and broad somehow.
So if we don't agree with a certain way that something is being managed in different communities that we live in, how do we respectfully
Okay.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, again, there is rules of Vaishnava etiquette. So as a junior person, first of all, let me say this. When we are junior and there is some disagreement on the senior level between senior devotees, we actually should not take sides. Yes. We should not, you know, discuss and take sides and pass judgments, because we can't exactly see what is happening on the senior level. We don't have the insights, you know? Let's say there's some disagreement amongst the GBCs. As we may know, these things do exist, you know? It's not our position to take sides and, oh yeah, what do you think? Oh yeah, he is right, he is wrong, this, that. Guaranteed we make Vaishnava apparat, you know, because we don't know all the details, you know, why this decision was passed and that thing, and we don't know. And it's not our service. So that's a really important thing, because as a rule, we always do the opposite, you know. Whenever there's some, disagreement, some conflict, and on a senior level, we derive great pleasure in discussing it and passing judgments and on which side are you and this and that, Or I just see you're going, but I wanted to tell you also something about the books I have published. But you're going home now, are you? Anyway, if you have to go, then what to do? I hope I will see you again some other time. Yeah, so not to take sides, when there's some conflict on senior level. And if it is not so senior, if we have some dissatisfaction or we see some wrong things, so then we can report our observations to a senior person, and then we let them deal with it. Then we have done our responsibility. We have reported. We have brought some attention to it, but then it's their responsibility to work things out. So, and then, if we want to have peace and harmony in the community, then we should just tolerate if nothing happens, rather than carrying on and criticizing and talking, and this will only magnify the negativity. So some things we just have to learn to live with and tolerate, and that's the way it is. Not everything immediately can be adjusted and made perfect or something, Yes. All right, maybe we'll leave it at that for today. And let me just quickly take the opportunity to say a few words about these books I have there, because they're all pretty interesting topics. And actually many temples, they even use them as handbooks for devotee training, for brahmachari training. So, since you have a bit of a Vedic college here, this could be interesting for you all here, because actually each book is a 15-hour course, which I usually give in Mayapur every year in January. So, and just to make these courses more available and accessible, that's why I'm putting them in book form, then the knowledge can reach more people. So, Spiritual Culture, Krishna's Divine System. This is all about the man-woman natures, qualities, energies, that they are very, very different. Man's nature, woman's nature, qualities are very, very different, because according to Krishna's recommendation, they're meant to play different roles, actually. And I find it very fascinating to see how they perfectly complement each other. Very fascinating. And even though the book is all about women, but nevertheless, it is used as a handbook for brahmachari training in many temples, in India also. Pune, Chaupadi, they use this. Yes. Because as we all know, there is a lot of strong statements in the Bhagavatam about women, right? So strong that they become almost controversial for many. But in this book, I'm trying to give some insights why Prabhupada says these things. And again, I received these insights all in Bangladesh. Yes, it took me many years, more than 20 years, to get these insights, And this book is also very helpful for married life. Actually, any man, any woman who wants to have harmonious relationships with the other gender, whether it's at work, in the office, or in family life, or in the temple dealings, please check out this book. It's worth it. Sheltering relationships, that's all about the importance of having a mentor, a counselor, a coach. That just having a Diksha Guru may not always be enough. Of course, here, many of you have that good fortune. You live here with your Diksha Guru. But most devotees in ISKCON don't have that situation. So, yeah, very helpful to have a mentor, somebody who really helps us to assess ourselves, to balance our spiritual life, to show us how to move forward step by step. If we don't have that, very easily we stay in our comfort zone, and then we become stagnant, and then nothing happens in our spiritual life. And in this book, there's also a whole chapter on envy in it, how envy manifests towards seniors equals juniors, how to uproot envy, the culture of correcting others, the culture of respect, by the way, is in this book also. Yeah, so you find a lot of good things there. Then the false ego, our constant companion and troublemaker. I think the title speaks for itself, right? All I can say is that it has helped me a lot to detect how my false ego gets into my way and pushes me to say and do things which I shouldn't say and do. Monday and Tuesday, we have the false ego topic, right? Yes. So that will give some little insights. The whole seminar is 15 hours, so, or at least 10 hours. So there's 2 sessions we have on Monday, Tuesday will not capture the whole thing. But there is also a whole chapter on chanting the holy name in it, how we're meant to chant, because the chanting is very helpful in dissolving the false ego, but we have to chant with the right mood and quality of feeling. So yeah, powerful package there, false ego and chanting. You get a lot of practical insights. And last but not least, entering the Grihastha Ashram. How to do it, how better not to do it. And even if you are married already, maybe you're married, but your life is not an ashram yet. But it is also like a handbook for matchmaking. So especially helpful for people who are not married yet and who want to marry, or for parents who have children and they want to help their children to find a suitable spouse. Or, as I said, for married people who may not have entered the Grihastha Ashram yet. Because, yes, I dare say, most of our householders, their family life is not an ashram yet. We haven't given any training, you know? People usually just get married and all we know is mundane family life. And yeah, we don't know what it means to mold it into an ashram, you know. So these are the 4 books available now. These 2 are $20 each. The other 2 are $15 each. If you want to get any books, you can pay cash or through Zelle. That's also possible. And my stock is limited here. So if you want to get some books, you better get them quickly before they're all gone. Okay, so thank you so much for your patience and attentiveness. I never even imagined that so many people would turn up. So this was very encouraging for me. So tomorrow morning, we will talk about chanting, right? Deepening our relationship with the Holy Name. I mean, I do conduct Holy Name retreats, which ideally go for 3 days. So just one little session tomorrow is just some little glimpse, But yes, so we'll continue tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki. Go Premanandi, Hare Hare Krishna.